It's a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peekaboo! Villa in the lead!
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I'm your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe and give this video the thumbs up. Help me to the road to 2K. Wembley.
Okay, Sarah.
I'm joined by my Monday show regular, Aaron Thornton, who's the host of the Football Brief, and we have special guest, Joe Sayers, on the show, who is a co-host on the Albion Obsessed Podcast. This is the match preview. I'll be doing the pre-match talk show. Brighton vs Aston Villa in the Premier League. Wednesday night football. And it'll be at the Amex Stadium. Aston Villa are through to FA Cup sitting for Wembley. The first time in 10 years. And Brighton got knocked out the FA Cup. Nottingham Forrest on penalties. This is an important game for different reasons. At this stage of the season, the teams in the European places need to get many points as possible. It's great to have both of you on the show. How are you?
Thanks, Chad. Thanks for having me, and it's always a pleasure. I'm obviously very good after yesterday's result. Probably doing a bit more better than Joe is. I feel a bit bad.
Yeah. FA Cup misery again on penalties. We're used to it. I'm just a little bit gutted. Obviously, going out that way is never nice. But I'm now looking at you guys to knock Crystal Palace out. So please.
Rivalry
and knock them out. Just to wipe the smile off their faces. But yeah, other than that, just looking forward to seeing what we can do in the league now.
The thing is, we have played Crystal Palace not long ago, and we actually lost 4-1, but at least now with Emery, we know what Crystal Palace are all about. So now at least we know what to expect. So really, Crystal Palace was probably the best fixture Villa could hope for in the semis.
Yeah, in that respect, I agree. I think, Palace have become a bit of a bogey team in recent games. But in Emery we trust, and I do think one thing that Emery does do is he learns from mistakes. He's a bit of a master tactician, so I think it'll be one of his biggest things is trying to get one over on Glasner. And fourth time lucky this season, so I am quietly confident. Don't get me wrong, Palace are a good side. They're well organised, they're well drilled, so take nothing away from them. But I think a one-off game at Wembley with the players that we've got, I do expect us to win, and that's not an arrogance. It's just I do think on paper we should, and with Emery we should. So we'll see. But I agree with you, Chad. I think out of the two ties, I would rather have Palace than City. So
I'd say Crystal Palace. And then actually, the other lowest ranked side in the competition. And also, with the FA Cup, a semi-final at Wembley, it hits differently to a Premier League game. That's what I personally think.
yeah.
Let's talk about the Preston game, Aaron. So, as a Villa fan, how are you feeling right now? What are your thoughts on that game?
I mean, I'm feeling, obviously I'm over in New York, so it's just nice to have the Villa doing so well, and these next couple of months being so important for us. It just sort of keeps me going a bit. keeps me in touch with them. I mean, I'm gonna say cliche. It was a professional performance from the boys. I think, I have to give Preston their praise. Though I thought the first half, especially, yes, we had a lot of the possession and we controlled the game to a point, but I thought Preston they made it difficult, and considering they had so many injuries and players out, I thought they gave a really good account of themselves. And I thought that, a half time, I was thinking, oh gosh, is it going to be like another half like that? Is it going to go to extra time? Because they were giving it, and so I have to give them credit. But I thought, second half, I think the quality sort of showed in the end, and obviously players like Rashford and Ramsey and and Tielemans sort of coming through, it just sort of showed. So
Well, talk about Rashford. I'm very happy for Rashford because now you get those 2 goals. He's going to do his confidence the world of good. Do I actually think Rashford is really going to go on the goal scoring streak now?
Hopefully for us, but not for Joe, I'm guessing, because it was all he was missing, wasn't it? It was the goals. And I think, look, if you block out all the noise from the media and Man United and all the sort of narrative around Rashford, you isolate him in a Villa shirt. He's been sensational, really. And I think all he was missing was a goal. His performance on the ball, off the ball has been great. So I'm just happy for him and happy for us. Even if it's just a short-term thing, like if he gets us to where we want and gets us a trophy, happy days. And if that reignites his career, then it's best for both parties. So very happy for him because in a Villa shirt, he's been nothing but good for us, and I was pleased.
And with Rashford, he's fitted in really well with his teammates. I think he's flourished in that with Henry.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, doesn't it? It's as much as it's Rashford's got to put it in. I mean, and look, it's in his best interest to work, because if he doesn't do it at Villa, then he's going to find himself in a bit of a difficult position, isn't he? So he's not stupid, Rashford. So he knows he needs to put a level of performance in at Villa. But having Emery, having players, a lot of English players that he knows, and a structure. I think under Ten Hag that wasn't there. I think Amorim probably, I don't know, obviously the ins and outs, but probably saw it and thought, well, so many managers have tried and it's not really worked. So rather than enter all that, I'm just going to put him on loan and he can sort of maybe find himself, which I don't really blame Amorim for. So I think having that structure and that arm around him, I think has helped, and he seems a lot more. I can't really complain, and I just have to. It's incredible the amount of media attention he gets. It was the first time he spoke yesterday after the game, and already I looked at a few articles that had for the minute that he spoke, some of I think the Daily Mail is like, oh, Rashford aims subtle dig at Amorim, and it's like, well, I don't think he did. I mean, you can read it how you want to read it, but it's just like
United team.
Yeah.
They didn't know their jobs. But in the Villa team, everybody knows their roles.
Yeah. I thought Ramsey was great as well. I have to give a shout out to Ramsey. I thought he was really good. He was really good. So yeah, look, it was a job that we thought we would get done, and you've only got to beat the team that's in front of you. So Preston, they were tough, but we did what we needed to do, and we're through. And like you say, Palace next. So
that's it. You bring it on. That's it.
Yeah. How did you think the game went?
Mike Fincher?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching from afar. My auntie's a Villa fan, so I sort of try and keep up to date with their results and everything like that. And one, I'm really happy for Rashford that he's doing really well. He's a player that I've always admired when he broke through at United, and I thought it was a little bit unfair on him given the performances he's had for Aston Villa that everyone was questioning his England call up. I thought he was worth his weight in gold in that sense. And you're right, Aaron, about the media just looking at him for any slight mistake, anything that's slightly out of line, and then bang, they're on him. And it's horrible to see. because at the end of the day, he is doing really well at Villa, and he should be celebrated and bigged up and praised, and hopefully then his career can kick on again and hopefully push England towards something really special. So yeah, I fully agree with you guys on that front.
Always rated him well. Rashford's always been a quality player. And, you know, he can do it at the highest level. He has proven it before. And now I just think he's back in the England squad. Rashford's doing all the right things at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's made mistakes, hasn't he? We all make mistakes. He's 27 years old with a lot of money, and he's done things that you say fair, like, look, you shouldn't have done, but there's other players that have done it before him, and there'll be players after him, and it's just like, okay, once it's done, we've spoken about it, and let's move on. But the media with him, for some reason, just never seems to want to. And I didn't realize that until he came to Villa, how much he gets. So it's
it's crazy as well, the amount of good he's done for communities and families that haven't got
the school meals.
Exactly, and people take the mick out of him for it, and it's like, well, what are you doing? You're sat on your sofa sending abuse to a young player who could do really well for England for doing something really good, and that's just the state of the world and the social media. Is that no matter what you do, if you paint the world in gold, you're still going to get absolutely blasted for it. So he just needs to keep his head down and do what he's doing.
So true.
And going back to the game. In the first half, we lacked that cutting edge, but in the final third, we sort of really get to the final third. But in the second half, there, we come out a lot stronger. I actually enjoyed the actual game. It was a typical cup tie. Especially the balloons. The balloons actually were quite distracting for the players. It reminds me of that game from years ago. It might have been Tranmere. It might have been back in 1994.
Yeah.
It might be that sort of cup tie.
Yeah, they're the good classic cup ties against, championship opposition. You never know what you're going to get, especially quarterfinals. I remember a few years ago we played Millwall in the quarterfinals even, and they went 2-0 up. It was pouring it down with rain, and we had to find ourselves battling back against them. And luckily we did, and we won on penalties. And but you never know what you're going to get with a championship side. And Preston looked well up for it, and I always thought it could be a potential banana skin for Villa. But as you guys have alluded to, the quality comes through, and the Premier League fitness and everything like that just shows at the end, and you run out looking like comfortable winners. But if you watch the game, it's not overly the case. It's just those moments of quality that get you over the line.
They've played some wonderful football, especially that Rashford goal and that Ramsey goal. Your boy Ramsey does it in a fantastic finish. And also, if you look at Rodgers and Asensio and Ramsey, they linked up really well. We played some lovely football. A good combination play.
Yeah.
And great touches.
Yeah. I thought it was really nice when the lineup came out, that because it's very much been Rashford or Ramsey on the left, it's been either one. And it was obviously Ollie's been a bit injured recently, so he was sort of rested. And it was nice to see Ramsey, Rashford, Rodgers, all together in Asensio. I mean, to be fair, for Preston fans, it must have been amazing just to see these players, which is great for them. And it was just good to see, like you say, Chad, some of the combination play was really good. And, just very, I think after the injuries that we've had and stuff to different players, it was nice to have so many players on the pitch together and then bringing players on. And, I thought Preston dealt with them a lot, like you say, in the first half. And just touching on championship teams, I think because Villa, and Brighton, we were we've been there recently, haven't we? We've been in the championship. We know what it's like. I think we appreciate what it's like to play these games. So, it was, I think there was a respect there, which was good. And, yeah, but quality does shine through. But I agree with you, Chad. I think the combination play was good. I thought Kamara again just oozed class and was just so tidy on the
agree.
ball. He was really good. So yeah, I couldn't agree
When
more.
you look at our team, we got some great options. When you look at our team, we've got a fully fit squad now. Imran Torres has come back. Got lots of Onana. And you look at him, look, we've got Daniel Marlin. You've got Watkins, Rashford. Look, we have a real strong forward line.
It's mad, isn't it? And then Bailey wasn't even in the squad. Marlon I forgot about, and he actually came on and looked good. And there's going to be some conversations in the summer because I don't know how we're going to keep everybody, and with Asensio and Rashford, if there's going to be talks about them, I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on how we finish and where we finish, and and all that. But yeah, the forward line it's pretty insane, really, when you think about it. It is crazy. I don't know what you think, Joe.
That's why I think we'll finish the season strongly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like looking at those options, we've got a lot of attacking options as well. And you, as you say, Aaron, you think how on earth does Hertzler or Emery keep a squad like this so happy? And we've had Enciso going out on loan and everything like that. So yeah, it's a big headache for these managers, but it's a great headache to have because as you guys going into January, you were probably thinking, oh, we really need, one or two more attackers, and then you got three somehow, and now you're looking really strong, and it's like, oh gosh, now we're playing you with a fully fit squad, and you're wanting Europe again. Obviously, we just hope that you guys have got other things to think about with Champions League football and an FA Cup semi-final, and hopefully that prevails. But it's a very scary thing to face a full fit and firing Aston Villa side. So
Joe, touch on Brighton. Over the years with Brighton, what Brighton do is with their transfers, you always seem to replace your players with more talent.
Yeah,
Leandro Trossard.
I don't know how we do it. It's pretty incredible, but I think we're very lucky to have an incredible owner, an incredible CEO who have put in really good recruitment policies. We're always thinking sort of 4 or 5 steps ahead. We've already probably got Carlos Balaba's replacement on our books somewhere, and we're just waiting for him to step up when Carlos leaves. And yeah, it's a really, at the moment, it's a really good policy to have. But obviously, we're sitting here waiting for it to go wrong at some point, because good things don't always continue.
Mm-hmm.
But the way we've got our squad set up now is that if we do lose a Baleba or a Stupinian or anyone like that, then we've got a Ferdi Kadioglu to come in, or a Diego Gomez, or a Malek Yalkuye who's gone out on loan this season. So yeah, we're in a good way in terms of future planning. And I think obviously before the international,
you got like a good structure in place.
Yeah, it's a really good structure. We're really happy with it. And I think we're seeing the fruits of it at the moment. There was a lot of question marks around Hertzler, obviously with the 7-0 loss to Forest and a couple of other results, but we went on a really good sort of streak afterwards. Bounced back really well. The international break came at probably a really bad time for us, and then we came back from it a little bit rusty again. But the last time we lost to Nottingham Forest, we bounced back incredibly well. So we're hoping that same reaction happens. And obviously the 2 lads that missed their penalties, hopefully they're not feeling too bad, and that we just back them all the way because they're incredible players. Diego Gomez could have won it at the end for us. There's an incredible save from Matt Sells. I could have seen that header creeping in under the bar, but Matt Sells is a wonderful goalkeeper.
He's a great goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's done really well for Forest and has probably their reason as to why they're in the semi-finals. So, and Jack Hinshelwood has been incredible for us, and he's very young, and I hate it when I see a young Englishman take a penalty and miss because I know what happens afterwards. So I just want us to exactly, just fully back him and make sure that he bounces back in the right way.
We'll look at Brighton as well. Do you look at the last few seasons? You're always in those sort of European places. Also, then there, like, you're always really Brighton. Not top 6, top 7. You're always consistently up there.
Yeah, we hope to be. We want to be a team that's constantly pushing for at least top 10 in the Premier League. That was Tony Bloom's sort of 10-year plan when he got us promoted to the Premier League back in 2017, that we wanted to be consistently pushing for the European places. So, and that's what we're doing. I mean, last season petered out a little bit on a sour note with De Zerbi throwing his toys out the pram a little bit and not agreeing with the board on how the football club was run. And our attitude is nobody is ever bigger than the football club, and if you disagree, you're moved on. And again, we're looking pretty good, and we're up and challenging again for European places. So we're really happy at the moment. Now we're out of the FA Cup. I just really hope we give our everything to achieve European football, no matter what that is. If that's Conference League, I'll be happy because West Ham won it, so why can't we?
Yeah, I think going back to the game, the Preston game, I think Mings makes a real difference to Villa. I think what helps against Preston is he played the Championship before. I just think with Mings, he has such leadership. They kept touching a few clean sheets since Mings has been back in the team. And he can pick out a long-range pass as well.
Yeah, Tyrone Mings for me is like, I don't want to use the word legend just yet, but like in terms of where he's been and how he's sort of been with us on the journey from Championships, Champions League, and just the way I know he's not the Rolls Royce, and I know there's a mistake in him like there is with most players, but the way he carries himself and the way as a Villa fan, the way he sort of like represents our club, I think is very, very strong. And I love everything about his attitude. And I don't know if you saw the piece that he did before the game, talking about his injuries. Like obviously he had to come back a bit earlier because Torres got injured, and obviously he didn't want to play as many games as he has done, but we had no choice. And like he's playing with like swollen ankles, and he said even when I make a pass sometimes my knee's not great. Like he's playing through injury, and I just think I love everything about him. Like you say, leadership, the way he's vocal on the pitch, and I think spot on. Chad, Preston and a lot of these Championship teams, as we know when we were there, very physical. You have to be physical, and that's the big difference between Pau Torres. Yes, Pau Torres is probably nicer on the eye in terms of passing, but in terms of physicality and dominance, Tyrone Mings, that's what he's all about. So, and again, Chad, like you said, there's no coincidence that we've had a lot more clean sheets in recent weeks since Tyrone Mings has been back in the squad. And I don't think he's underrated with the Villa fan base, but I do think the fan base around, they see a lot of the mistakes he makes and go, oh, Tyrone Mings, But for us, he's an important player. So, yeah, can never say enough good things about Tyrone Mings. Big fan.
So when I look at Tyrone Mings, he's sort of no-nonsense defending. I mean, does it? He clears his lines. Also, his area ability. Mings, he's very composed.
Yeah, he's definitely improved that. He's definitely, and that's the beauty of watching an Emery team and a proper coach is when you see players actively improving. You look at McGinn, you look at Mings, Ramsey, players who, when Emery first came in, you think, oh, are they gonna fit his style? But he takes the time with them and he coaches them and he wants to make them better. And again, Mings and McGinn are like prime examples of that. I think they've elevated their game even more. And I think having a Pau Torres in there for Mings to to watch and see and learn off as well it's only good for him. And I agree with you. I think he's a lot more composed now. Sometimes he can dilly-dally a bit too much for my liking, but that's definitely a lot less than it used to be.
A little bit like Paul McGrath in some ways. Not completely, but I see sort of similarities.
Yeah, in terms of his combativeness and the way, I definitely agree, and I think he's good with his rapport with the fans as well. And he's one of those names that when he does, hang up his boots or leave Villa, I'd love him to retire at Villa, but he'll be one of those names that we sing or we mention or we'll have his name up somewhere. Do you know what I mean? One of those sort of players. So just happy for him to come back from an injury which we thought was going to put him out. We thought that injury that was him done then, and he's come back and he keeps going, doesn't he? So for him to then play in the Champions League and have that experience, it was really good for him.
Joe, I was going to ask you, so what do you expect from Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, I expect a very difficult game, of course. Us against Aston Villa in the Premier League hasn't wielded incredible results over the last few seasons. And there's always worries of another 6-1 drubbing coming our way from you guys, which is always a worry. But I expect us to hopefully bounce back in the right way and make, stake a claim that we are here and challenging for these European places. When we've played against teams that are challenging for it in recent weeks, like Bournemouth, for example, and Fulham, we've found a way to win the game somehow, even if we are under the cosh a little bit. And I think we sort of thrive on that sort of atmosphere of it could go either way, but hopefully we're the ones that come out on top, and we've got some really good players that can pull us out of really tough spots.
Matoma.
Yeah, I mean, Matoma has been excellent for us for the last 3 years. It's no surprise that he's looking to get Champions League football next season, possibly. Obviously, we don't want to lose him. We know how good he is, and but he's not young. He's 27, 28, and in the prime of his career now. So if we don't get Champions League football, I could see a Champions League club coming in for him.
Sorry, Chad. Just on Matoma, I don't know how true it was, but wasn't there a crazy bid from the Saudis for him in January? Like, what were your thoughts? Because I mean, with the VAR and stuff now, in my head, I was like, sell him. I know it's not that simple, and I know obviously to Brighton, you want him, but like, was there part of any fans that were like, "Whoa, we could do with that money," or was it just like we don't want to sell him?
I mean, we've made a lot of money in the past few transfer windows anyway, so I don't think we're needing the money. Thank you, Todd Bowley. Thank you, Chelsea Football Club. So I think we were in a healthy position to say no, and Matoma also said no as well. He didn't want to leave at that stage. But I think that's more because he wants UEFA Champions League football. He doesn't want to go and play in Saudi Arabia. So it's good that he's got those aspirations, and I think he's said in Japanese media that he wants to get there with Brighton. But obviously we know how football works, and that if we don't get there this season, it's a very short career.
The Champions League, it's a pulling power.
Yeah,
nice players.
Unless you're John Duran, sorry.
Unless you're Duran,
yeah, exactly that. I mean, it's an absolute dream for us to even be talking about Champions League football. I'm sure that was the same for you guys last season. But us as a club, we've been through the ringer. We've been a point and a goal away from not existing all the way up to now. And we're just enjoying every single moment in the Premier League. Europa League football a couple of years ago was the best experience of my life, easily. And long may that continue. If we get there again, let's hope we do better. Obviously, we didn't do very well against Roma in the knockout rounds. We want to make a better account of ourselves and say that Brighton are here to stay and to be a European club going forwards, and that's the dream. But we know how what's the word? How weak that status is. A bad season next year could see us battling relegation.
You can change so quickly.
Exactly. One or two players leave, and that structure that you talk about doesn't go very well. It could easily go the other way. So, as I say, we're enjoying every moment as it comes, and just knowing that football, as you say, Chad, can just change so quickly. So,
I think as well, I think that Villa point of view, I think it's going to be an interesting watch. And Villa obviously made me feel very confident going into this game. I think the Emery though, I think he will rotate the squad slightly. With Emery, he's got the experience to do that. He's done it before. Been managing games, lots of games.
Yeah, and we saw that with Preston. When we went 3-0 up, he, we saw the raft of changes that he made. I think with Brighton in mind. I have to say, just firstly, like I have a lot of respect for Brighton as a football club, as a town, it's a great place. It's a great night out. But it's also like Joe was saying then, like how you're saying your fans you're enjoying every moment. You can see that. And like you can feel it. Like I always, whenever we play Brighton, like the fans are ace, but like it's always like there's never any pressure. Like you're so relaxed, so happy. It's almost like you never know how the game's going to go because like I don't know. And I think that then comes onto the pitch. Like your players play with a certain freedom and they're just happy and really everything about Brighton is just for me. And I know you probably agree, Chad. It's just really good for football, and it's just a really amazing story. I think the structure that you've got, and I know you're saying if Joe, a couple of players leave, and I know you always have the next on the conveyor belt. I think the structure's so good there that even if you do dip slightly, I don't think you're going to be in danger. I really don't think that. I think your structure's too good.
You wouldn't feel worried as a Brighton fan.
It's just a great.
You wouldn't feel worried.
Yeah.
Our club is in such good hands.
Really,
Our owner is a Brighton fan through and through. He's seen it all, and his family have seen it all. We've had the Bloom family with us for 80 years. So it's great that they've got to a stage where one of their someone in their family line can own the football club and propel it to the heavy heights of what we're seeing. And I think that's why we are so relaxed, Aaron, is because we just know that it is in a really good way. We know we're realistic as football fans. That's why I say what I say. But yeah, we're just loving life, and it's great. Perspective is the biggest thing. Is when you go on a poor run in the Premier League of losing by a couple, or losing 7-0. We lost, I think, like 7-1 to Huddersfield in League One before. So, that perspective always pulls us through those really hard moments. And that's why we can then go into the next game after losing on penalty shootouts to Nottingham Forrest, up for it again, because these days we don't know if they're numbered, but we're just enjoying it because it's another game in the Premier League for a club that almost vanished into nothing. So that's why we love it.
It's a remarkable story. And when I think of Brighton, I always go back to that season with Emery. The last game of the season. We qualified for the Conference League. I remember at the same time, Brighton, they secured Europa League football. I remember going into it, getting the atmosphere, like, those set of supporters, you can feel the vibe. They're really happy. I always go back to that game.
I was just so happy that we didn't come into that game needing anything, because I just know how a final day at Villa Park goes if you need something. I don't know if you remember, but we came to your place at the end of a championship season when we got promoted. You had a red card. Yeah, we scored a penalty, Glenn Murray.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, great, we get that trophy. Yeah, and then Jack Grealish ripped my heart out of my chest and slammed it on the floor and broke it into a million pieces. But it was a terrible David Stockdale.
Did you get promoted though? After
we
that
still
game?
went
You
up.
still got
Yeah.
promoted, didn't you? Yeah.
We still went up. We got promoted mid-April, and all we had to do was win one of our remaining 3 games to win the championship. And then we lost to Bristol City, we lost to Norwich, and then we drew to Villa.
Of course. Yeah.
I think this game as well. Like, we need to pick up as many points as we can. At this stage of the season, it's a business at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So I still think Villa, 5th place is still possible. I still think we can do it still.
Yeah, look, I've just eulogized about Brighton and that stands, but yeah, come Wednesday, it's massive for both teams, and we're both on that top 5 push, and Brighton are in a good run of form. I think what your last 5, you won 4, drawn 1, I think. So like you're in a good vein of form. Amex is a tough place, but like you were saying, Chad, with our front line and Emery and the fact that players are back now, and I think every time I've heard an interview from the Villa players, they keep saying this is like the biggest 2 months. These next few games are massive. Like there's no illusion that they all understand the brief. They understand what needs to be done.
The thing is as well, for the Champions League quarter-final, with an FA Cup semi-final, we've still got a chance finishing 5th place.
Yeah,
which is all to play for.
Yeah. And speaking of front lines, Brighton's front line as well. I mean, Brighton's team's great, but the front line, I think, Minter,
Danny Welbeck, I've always liked him.
Welbeck, yeah. Like, you've got a good blend of experience, youth, pace. Who's the other guy? Adingra?
Adingra, yeah. I'm not Adingra's biggest fan.
Okay.
I think I've made it known on our podcast that I'm not. But he does come up with moments, and he does inject a little bit of freshness when we need him. Mm-hmm. I just don't think he's consistent enough. I love it. I like him. I love the guy, but I just don't think he's consistent enough or good enough to beat Matoma to a first team place, or to play on the right hand side ahead of Yankuba Minza, who has a ridiculous ceiling.
He's been good.
He's so quick. But again, it's the consistency. It's the moments against Man City where he's jumped over the ball rather than just put it in the back of the net.
Leon Bailey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that end product. And if Yankuba can start to make the right decisions in really crucial moments, he's going to be a world beater. But he's very young. He's 19, so
is he 19?
we give him a lot of grace. So I mean, we're in a good way going forward. So unfortunately, I think Jorginho Rutter won't be playing. I think he's out with an injury.
He's him for nothing, Leeds United.
Yeah, £40 million from Leeds. Everyone was sort of saying, Brighton are breaking their transfer mold. They're spending money. It's going to fail. But he's come in and been really good. So, when we have to spend that money, we spend it on quality. I mean, João Pedro was our record signing at the time when we got him.
I like him. He's
excellent. He's so good. He is going to be world class. Somebody's going to pick him up for ridiculous money. That's no shock, is it? Brighton churning out £100 million gems.
He's just got to stay fit, hasn't he? With your sorry, Chad. Joe, with like the money that you get from these players, like, does that just stay? I don't know if you know this, but do you sort of keep it to buy players, or does a lot go into like at the stadium or like infrastructure and things like that? Like, is that a thing, or is it just purely the money's used for players or managers?
Yeah, a lot of it goes back into the transfer budgets, but we do invest heavily as well in the infrastructure. 10 years ago, we opened our new training ground, which cost like over £200 million. and then we've also now opened a new fan zone at the Amex. So we've now got, I don't know if you guys have been to the Amex, but we've got a building outside opposite the club shop now. And that's a little bit like, those like box park things that you see. We're going to be housing like social events there, away game streams and stuff, like watch alongs. So yeah, it's a lot more to go back into the community, and we that's what we do heavily as well, is invest in the local community. You'll see, like on our local buses, you'll see Brighton Hove Albion everywhere, and they'll be put in as much as they can back into the community that almost lost their football club. So it's great, and it's such a good vibe around these parts. So yeah, we're loving it.
So talk about the Amex as well. I mean, this season, it hasn't been sort of like a fortress it has been in recent seasons. I think I remember that game, was it Crystal Palace? Was it not 3-0 or something like that? A few times.
Ouch.
Yeah.
You lost at home a few times.
We have lost at home a few times this season. We've had really disappointing draws as well. Like against Wolves, for example, we were 2-0 up in the 85th minute and somehow drew it to all. I think Ipswich drew with us. Southampton have drawn with us at the Amex. So, it's a place where sometimes we can get a little bit frustrated and get on the players' backs a little bit and, expect big things in games that we should be winning. I hate to say that as a Brighton fan, because we've had that on the other end of people saying, "Oh, we should be Brighton." They're only a beach. We should be steamrolling.
It's a great beach.
It is a lovely beach. But yeah, I mean, we know that we can make that place a fortress, and we know the atmosphere we can make there. So we just had to get back there. That Crystal Palace game was horrific. That had a lot of people after the game calling for Hurtzler's head, including myself.
Would you make it?
I mean, I've had such a awkward relationship with him this season, because there are really stupid, naive moments that have just cost us so many points. And when you look at the table and how the season's gone, had we been consistent enough to grind out that 2-0 win against Wolves, or beat Southampton or beat Ipswich at home, that we could be having a season like Nottingham Forrest. And I think that's what's really frustrating. But I know for a fact that we're going in the right direction to get there. Sorry, go on.
No, sorry. Do you think that's his age showing?
Yeah, I think so. And I think me calling for his head after the Palace game was me just unbelievably frustrated with the fact that we just lost to our bitter rivals at home. But I'm somebody that likes to give second chances and likes to see where things will go. And I mean, I think he's proven me wrong a million times after as well, because we had a really good result at like City away and things like that. City at home, United away, stuff like that. I know United away isn't a hard thing to do anymore.
Not anymore, no.
What hurts he's the youngest ever Premier League manager. 31 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and a lot of the squad are older than him. So obviously that's it's a very different dynamic in the changing room. But I think he's been very sort of vocal on the fact that he's just a friendly authority that is just going to be there for the players, and he's the one. All he is the person that makes the hard decisions, and that's it. And he coaches his players as he would if they were, younger than him by 20 years. He's got a lot of coaching experience. He's not a young coach. He's been coaching since he was 22.
He went for a lot of the youth level.
Yeah, I mean, he was at Bayern Munich youth level coaching. So, he does have, when you look at his CV, a pretty decent pedigree. He got St. Pauli promoted last season as well. So he's somebody that's, when push comes to shove, is going to get his team over the line. So I think that's why we, especially me, have to be patient with him, because, he's a very young coach with a very high ceiling, just like everything else at our football club. We seem to, like to breed really good young talents here. So why not have that as a manager as well? And hopefully we'll achieve something special together.
And there's another fact about it as well. He was actually born in America, in Texas, but then he grew up in Munich in Germany.
Yeah, he's got American father, no, a German father, and an Austrian mother, born in Texas.
Wow.
So he's very cultured, I guess, and I think he loves learning all about the English culture as well, and he's fitted in brilliantly. His English is great, so it's very easy to sort of understand where he's coming from after tough matches and during our good periods as well. He seems a pretty likable bloke. I've met him once, and he was really nice.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he's a good man, and as I say, we should be giving him a lot of sort of grace because he's doing well.
Did you so I mean, I don't know the full fallout with De Zerbi. Firstly, were you a De Zerbi fan? And secondly, when he left and Hertzler was announced, like, had you heard of him? Were you a bit like, oh, I don't know about this, he's a young guy, or were you confident with like your board and obviously your history of recruiting good managers? Were you just, we got this, we're cool?
Yeah, I think there's a big aspect of looking at past appointments. For example, when we appointed Graham Potter, I hadn't really heard of him. I knew that he was a coach of a team that beat Arsenal in either the Europa League or Champions League. I can't remember which. And then did a pretty decent job at Swansea. Couldn't quite get them over the line in terms of promotion. But again, he was a young coach at the time, not quite as young as Hertzler. But, we knew that it was going to be that sort of tactical upgrade on Chris Hughton. I don't ever want to do down what Chris Hughton done for us because he got the Premier League, and he's an incredible man. He was granted freedom of Brighton and Hove, so he can do whatever he likes. But we knew we had to go in a different direction when Chris left, in terms of pushing for those European places. And it took some time with Graham Potter. We had to be patient. And then he left in the way that he did, which was, at the time pretty. It felt pretty toxic amongst Brighton fans and
your best friends down the road.
Yeah, exactly. And then they took everything else from us as well. But then we beat them 4-1, so that was great.
What would you sum up Brighton this season?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a really good season. And just to follow on Aaron's point in terms of our coaches, I'm never worried when we do have to replace someone. So and this has been another sort of string to that bow of, if Hertzler leaves in the future, we're going to replace him absolutely fine as well. And it's just all about having that trust in your setup that you're always going to be 3-4 steps ahead and have
no structure in
the
place.
next guy.
It's not as we Emery. It's very similar to the way we do it with Villa.
Yeah.
We're Brighton, it's similar in that way.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we're extremely well run, and we're very confident in the people that are in charge, both football sides and business sides. So, we're really happy. And in terms of this season, it's been really, really up and down. But as it's balancing out, as we're coming towards the end of the season, you can see by the table position at the moment, we're very happy with it, and we're right in that mix. And it just depends on how this season ends for us now. It really is business end, and we've just got to push and get over that line.
So Brighton are getting a good run going. Good to see a recent 4. I think it's 4 wins and 1 draw, which is that sort of form is good enough to get you in a European place.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, as I said, the international break came at a really rubbish moment for us. We were flying, and we probably even should have beat Man City at the Etihad before the international break. So that form should have been 5 out of 5. And that's just the way we are at the moment. We're looking at these games and coming out of them disappointed, and that's a great thing. And we can only carry those positives into the next game and know that, you know, if we're playing someone in and around us, we have got the ability to beat them and to get over that line. And hopefully that's the case for Wednesday in our terms, and we can, you know, eke out a result somehow. And that's what we seem to be doing at the moment, is just getting something somehow, no matter what way that is. If it's ugly, it's ugly.
Well, on Wednesday, depending how it goes, whoever wins, it could really change the whole, you know, race for Europe. So really, it's a huge game.
It's massive, and we've got Crystal Palace after. We've got them on Saturday. So if we don't get a good result against Villa and we go there and not get a good result, I think things could turn a little bit aggy again amongst the fan base. But you know, when we look on it as a whole, we just have to realise that 2 games aren't going to define the last moments of this season. That we can go again and we can pick up more points. And it's such a weird season this season that just anything can happen. We're pushing for something, but let's just hope that by the end of May we can all be celebrating, and you guys would have won an FA Cup and a Champions League, and we'll be in Europe.
So before we finish the podcast, let's go into a few more Aston Villa points. A few good Aston Villa questions. So I'll go with the first one first. So Aaron, would you sell Ollie Watkins if you could get Marco Asensio and Marcus Rashford on a permanent?
Ooh, that's a good question, Chad. I mean, firstly, I love Ollie Watkins. I think he offers something completely different to our forward line that we don't have. I just love everything about him. I guess, but in this current climate that we live in with PSR, I mean, if an offer comes in that's too good, then I'd consider it.
I would take it if the right money was there. Say, I don't know, 60 million, or maybe even say 80 million. Let's say that.
Oh, I mean, I mean, I can't say, and I didn't want Douglas Luiz to go last year, but that happened, and Diaby happened, and then Duran happened, and so we're now in this world that any players for sale, really. Like, you know, as much as we love them, it's like if the right offer comes in, it's like, you know, they're gonna go. I think with Rashford and Asensio, I'm still not like they've made a great impact, but in terms of longevity, I still don't know. Like we touched on Rashford, like Rashford has to be playing well for his own career. Like he knows that. So he was always gonna play well at Villa. Like I would have been shocked if he didn't, because of like the situation he was in. And that's not to, you know, take anything away from him, but it's just the truth. Asensio as well, great impact. I just don't know longevity where Watkins. Asensio's already been a bit like in and out of the team because of fitness and stuff, where Watkins, like, he's fairly consistent, to be fair. Even, you know, I know he's getting a bit older, but like he looks after himself. So,
and even when you don't score,
he does
Watkins, he's always working hard.
Yeah, he gets an assist, or he's involved in the build-up of the goal somehow. He could score more. We know he misses chances, but, you know, like overall, his work rate, everything's great. So that's really sitting on the fence sort of answer, isn't it? I wouldn't want to sell him, but if the right offer came in, I expect Arsenal probably be sniffing again, as he's an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, they will be.
You know, so I guess, if it's the right offer, but I don't want to. I like him.
I don't want to sell Watkins.
Good question, though.
I mean, what will come into it is Champions League football.
Yeah.
If we finish the Champions League again, Watkins will probably stay. It depends how that goes, really.
You reckon if we don't, he'll go? What if we get like Europa? I think conference, what about Europa?
It's a tough one. I mean, the players like Asensio and Rashford, one of them we need to take a wage cut. And maybe as well, thinking of summer, we'll offload a few players as well. Due to
Yeah.
PSR.
Yeah, he's on stupid money, isn't he, Rashford? You know, it's mad as well. Coutinho is still on our books. He's
Right.
still on loan, which was another Gerrard blunder.
But he'll go with the summer, Coutinho. Yeah, he'll be gone.
There's a few players like we've got rid of a lot of deadwood, but I think there's a couple that we need to get rid of. And then I expect. Look, I mean, I thought we were clear of PSR, but I'm already hearing reports like Villa are towing the line, and it's looking like again it depends how far we go in competitions and Champions League revenue, FA Cup, and all that. But I expect there'll be one big player to go. Leon Bailey's been touted as well, I think, but I think Watkins. If you're going to sell someone and get money, and you think about the age, probably Watkins will be the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, good question, Chad.
Well, Joe, we'll come to the last question. So it's about Jack Grealish. So would Jack Grealish, would he fit in the current Aston Villa team?
Another good question, Chad.
It's a tough one because obviously I don't know exactly how you guys feel about Jack Grealish in terms of like how he left you or anything like that. I know my auntie loves him still and keeps an eye out for him. I don't know whether that's because he's a good-looking lad or not, but that's another thing. But I mean, I think he's a player that can make a difference. He's a player that can, pick the ball up and drive you up the pitch and win you fouls and create goals, score goals. So I think if there was the option for Jack Grealish to come back to Villa Park, I think it would only be a good thing. I think it would take some time for some fans to get over how he left, maybe. But obviously, he's Villa through and through, right down deep down in his heart, and it's he's a good guy as well. I think he's always come across really well in the media and with what he does when he meets fans and stuff like that. All the videos of him meeting fans are always so wholesome. Yeah. He's got his own issues in his family. His sister struggles and he obviously helps her a lot, and that's very close to his heart, and charity's very close to his heart as well. So he's a good lad, and I think Villa would do well to have him back.
I think Jack Grealish, you'd love to play with Aston Villa in the Champions League. I bet he would have really loved to play for his boyhood club in the Champions League.
Yeah, exactly. I think that probably was always the aim for him when he broke through into Villa, that he could push you up into the heights that you were at before. Obviously, when you had people like Gabriel Bonlahor and all those guys, John Carew, people like that, and were competing in Europe with Martin O'Neill and stuff. So, he would love that chance to come back and probably finish his career with his boyhood club. I'm sure, but it's just about whether you can get that deal over the line, whether he's happy to come off of the Man City.
His wages.
Yeah, exactly that. It's a lot of money. A lot of clubs obviously struggle to compete with Manchester City, but that is what it is. Just a point on Ollie Watkins whilst you were speaking about him. I think it'll be a funny story for your podcast. He owes me an England shirt. When he scored in the 90 whatever minute against the Dutch, I celebrated so hard that I ripped my England shirt. So he fully owes me a New England shirt. So if Ollie's watching, get in touch.
He's watching.
Ollie. I couldn't celebrate that goal because I had my newborn. She was like on my chest. So she was lying on me like this. So my wife was out. So it was just me watching England. And obviously Ollie Watkins, Villa player, scores this like incredible goal. And she was asleep. So I couldn't even, I was like, it was so,
I know the pain. I literally just put my little one to bed when we scored that goal. So I'm like,
buzzing.
stood there in my lounge, like pulling my shirt, going like this, like completely silent celebrations, and then realised I'd ripped my shirt at the bottom. I was like, "Oh, Ollie, you owe me big time."
Cool, the last one, Jack Grealish. Going back to Jack Grealish. Look, the Villa team are very different. Look, the Villa team are different to Team Jack Grealish. Look, players, and I think the good thing about that happening, he sort of became too reliant on it. That's probably the one bad thing I probably would say. We sort of built a team around him.
Yeah.
When on this Emery's team, we've got all different players, all who do different roles for different reasons.
I think as well, Chad, like with Grealish, firstly, like I think anybody could fit in Emery's system. I think he makes a point of try. I think if you allow yourself to adapt to Emery and listen to him like over time, I think most players, and that's again not being like arrogant about it, but I do think Emery's that good. The only issue Jack Grealish would have is we have super Jacob Ramsey, who's been immense on the left.
That's the thing, isn't it?
So I think that's where Jack plays, and it'd be like a rotation. Huh?
Who would you sacrifice? So not Jack Grealish, though, in the position that who would replace him?
I mean, if you could get rid of I mean, I think Jacob Ramsey on the left is really good at the moment, so I wouldn't want to switch him. So I guess would Jack, unless you take Bailey out of the system, whoever's on the right, and then you put Grealish there, or I don't know. But then for Villa, he was really good in that like free role number 10. But then we got Rodgers, so it's like where does he fit, or Asensio? I don't quite know. But look, it's a weird one with Grealish because he wanted to play Champions League football with us, but it's almost like the 100 million that we got from him allowed us to sort of rebuild and shape a squad, which has then sort of been the foundation for us to get Champions League. So it's like he left us with a bit of a legacy in that sense. Also, I was back in England over Christmas and went to the Man City game, and I was one of the fans that did not boo him. I have to make that clear. Like I'm a man. Yeah, like I respect everything he did so well for us. Like I don't look at it. It's football, so fans are going to boo. I get it, but he didn't deserve all the boos he got. Like, so I mean, he'd be welcome back with open arms for sure if he did want to come back. But I don't know where he'd fit. Like I know where he would fit, but I don't think he'd start genuinely at the minute.
So we're going towards the end of the podcast. So we'll come to score predictions. So we'll start with your first, Chair. So what's your score prediction?
It's a really tough one. My head is saying a 2-2 draw, but I have vowed that whenever I go on opposition podcasts this season, that I always follow my heart. Obviously, my heart is with Brighton of Albion, so I think I'll go for a very, very tight 2-1 win for the Albion. But my head is saying different.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this game's got draw written all over it. What Joe was saying about the Amex and teams that have been there, we struggle to keep clean sheets in the Prem. They've got a good front line, but I've got to be optimistic. I've got to be positive. So I'm going to go 2-1, but the reverse. I'm going to say 2-1 to Villa. I think it'll be tight though.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with a 2-0 Aston Villa away win.
Nice.
The reason why I went with this is because the real good feel factor in the dressing room at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go. I think we're going to continue that hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, I enjoyed this podcast. Great special guest. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to give it a share. And give us a good review if you're listening via audio. That always helps. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you, Aaron and Joe, for your time.
Thank you,
I'm going
mate.
to wrap up this episode with Villa Forever and Up the Villa.